All right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Golden Goal Fantasy Football Podcast. Back to our roots with this episode and talking about Sky Fantasy Football. And I'm pleased to say I'm joined by my good mate Sam. How are you getting on, mate? How's your Sky team looking? How's your football life treating you?
Sky just goes bad to worse. So I've got James Maddison. James Maddison's injured. Didn't really have too bad a week, but it's just like, how could Sky be so polar opposite to the fan team? Sort of like fantasy games, one going well, one not going so well. So yeah, that's the boat that I'm in, mate. But yeah, all is good, mate. What about you?
Yeah, I'd say slowly climbing on both counts would be, on pretty much all the games would be my answer to that. I don't think my Newcastle to Man City move has gone entirely well, but I've still gone up in rank. Yeah, I've used a few transfers in the last week. Not sure they've come to my benefit, but I've still got 26 left. I'm in 3.7k, so I don't know. I feel like I can still move up. And when we look at the average transfers left, I'm still well above the average, so I'm hoping I can climb the ranks. But I'm not at the dizzy heights of other Sky YouTubers, that's for sure. I know Paul McNulty and Fergie are absolutely flying at the moment, and
Oh,
fair play
mate,
to
they're
them.
killing it, aren't they? I was just going to say the reason we're probably gaining rank is because people are literally running out of transfers.
They're just dropping like
'Cause
flies, aren't they?
yeah, I had a similar scenario to you where I didn't really have, I don't think, a great game week, just a normal one, but I still went up in rank probably because of the fact that people are running out and just those extra points there or whatever. So, yeah, same boat, mate. But yeah, Fergie and Paul are both absolutely flying. So I hope a winner comes from one of the crew that we know, whoever that may be.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a bit of content to take us through this week. The fixtures, some clean sheet odds stats, and then some other stuff comparing this week's transfers to last week's, and then a few players that I've got my eye on that I think we can talk about. I don't think I've agreed them with you yet, Sam, but to be honest, I think they're both players we'll talk about naturally in this pod anyway.
Yeah, of course, mate. Yeah, I've just got the stats from you in front of me. That's what I'm currently looking at, ready for action.
What do you think about these fixtures then? Have you got a player for tonight, Friday, Fulham Wolves?
Not in my main side, no. I'm going to skip it.
Fair enough.
Simple as that. What about you?
I've just had Polinia the whole time. So for me, I'll just be running with Polinia.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, to be brutally honest with you, mate. I wouldn't be rushing to bring anyone in personally. I think if you've had someone like an enabler that's injured or something like that, and you need a replacement, then Pelini would be ideal, and then you get the captaincy. But apart from that, nobody really lights anything up for me tonight.
No, that's fair enough. I haven't just noticed we've got Spartans and Ben McCrum in the chat as well. Hello, Ben. Hello, Spartans. Good to have you in the stream.
I've just got the stream up live actually on my phone, so just about to address that. So yeah, afternoon chaps, and yeah, you're absolutely right, Spartans. It is good when you just burn past people with no transfers for not really doing a lot other than keeping your hand in your pocket, which is pretty cool.
And what you're saying about Saturday, mate? We got West Ham, Forest, Leicester, Arsenal, Leeds, Southampton, Everton, Villa, Bournemouth, City, Crystal Palace, Liverpool. You just on Haaland, no question, or you looking elsewhere?
He hasn't been the thing with Haaland is, mate. And no, I'm sure you'd agree. He's on a little bit of a barren spell, isn't he? But he will just ignite at some point where he'll score 3 goals in 30 minutes or something like that. Given that it's Bournemouth as well, I do feel like he's the good option. I think there's probably good options in Leicester, Arsenal, to be fair. But I think, yeah, I'll just play it safe and stick it on Haaland. What about yourself?
Yeah, I think the same. I think he's likely to play because Man City just need to win all their games. So I think I'll just go Haaland. I think Saka's decent against Leicester as well. I think Leicester are just, despite them being able to score goals, are just woeful at the back. So I think Saka, and there's goals amongst that Arsenal team. So I think I like the look at Saka potentially.
Yeah, I think he's a great option. Sorry, mate. I can't stop
It's all right.
sneezing. I've got some sort of allergen up the nose at the moment. Yeah, I think Saka's a great option. He really, really is. Haaland versus Bournemouth. He's going to explode again at some point. I don't really want to miss that, and it does scare me. As you know, I'm quite prone to a differential captain or something like that. But I just think in Sky on this Saturday, just stick it on Haaland.
And then Sunday the 26th, we've got Tottenham against Chelsea. I mean, I don't really think there's any argument for that one. I guess, well, there sort of is. You could either go for Harry Kane, obviously, the season that he's having, or a Chelsea defender, I would suppose. Have you got any thoughts? I mean, I'm probably going to go for Harry Kane, but I don't mind a Chelsea defender as an outside chance. Excuse me.
You're on the same allergen as me there, Tom, aren't
Sounds
you?
like it.
Yeah, Harry. Yeah, I think has Harry Kane got a fairly good record against
I
Chelsea
don't
in
actually
terms of
know.
goals?
I don't know.
So someone will pop up in the chat with it.
I'll have a Google.
Yeah, have a look. But I think he's the best option. Well, one of the best options on that day, mate. Badia Shield might be another good shout if he starts. But yeah, I don't really know how this one's going to go, Tom. I'm not going to lie to you. I haven't really got much of an idea. I think if you've got Enzo Fernandez or something like that knocking in your team, like in terms of just bonus points and that sort of stuff, I don't think he's a bad shout either. But yeah, I think majority of people are owning Harry Kane. Just stick it on Kane.
I'm just looking to see
Yeah,
how many Harry's got.
Spartans is just saying Chelsea are Tottenham's bogey team. Yeah, that's what I think I would. I mean, yeah, I've got Kane and Badiashile, and I would stick it on Kane.
Sorry, Brisky, mate. This is a Sky live stream. I'm going live for the deadline for Game Week 25 at 4:30, mate. So you can stick around, but this is a different format than FPL. But feel free to stick around and join into the chat. Oh, that's an interesting stat. Tottenham haven't scored against Chelsea at the new Tottenham Stadium.
Ooh, there we go. Well, it's time to break that duck, doesn't it? On Sunday.
Wednesday the 1st, we got Arsenal against Everton and Liverpool against Wolves. I think if you've got both Saka and maybe Salah, I think you'd be a join as to who to go for there, mate. Are you got a preference between the two?
That's a really tricky one, mate. I think I'm going to see what happens Saturday before I decide what to do Wednesday because Salah at home to Wolves is a great fixture, as is Everton. But under Dyche, they have been a little bit better defensively. So that could be a coin cost based on form. You're going to go Saka, but Salah's definitely looked like he's still kind of there's a little bit of life in the old dog, isn't there, for
Yeah.
Salah? So I think it's a tough one.
Yeah, I agree. Have you I know you're not an avid FPL player, but you definitely play fan team. Who's your captaincy on out of those two games? Because are you still undecided on that?
I've switched already, mate, twice.
Yeah.
I've been on Salah and then I moved to Saka. I'm really struggling with it. Yeah, Ben's sort of saying still thinks Darwin to Salah at the moment. Like, yeah, I can see why. Again, I think the same verdict with Salah as is Haaland is that at some point just potentially expect him just to come away with a haul. But we've been saying that all season and haven't seen it. So yeah, I think there's some good options there. For sure.
What about a Liverpool defender? Would you go anywhere near that?
No. What against Wolves? Probably not. No.
And
Really
Arsenal,
don't know.
like someone like Zinchenko, something like that.
Yeah. For a captaincy shout, no. Again, they've been conceding a few goals, haven't they, recently?
Yeah, I agree.
No, I
Yeah.
think it's between Saka, Salah, or Nunes.
Yeah, no,
And yeah, Ben,
completely agree.
I completely understood what Ben was saying, not to get rid of, not Darwin to Salah. He meant Darwin is a better option, which, yeah, I can definitely see the logic in that based off statistics and just the eye test.
Yeah, definitely. I can't argue. What did I have next? Let's move on from the fixtures. Oh yeah, it was just the clean sheet odds for the game week, courtesy of our friends at Draft Hound. Top of the tree, because it's ordered by the first fixture of the double game week, and it's looking at FPL, so you have to forgive the order. But it's basically saying Arsenal have the top clean sheet odds of the week with that 56% there against Everton. Man City in second, they got 52% against Bournemouth. Then West Ham 48% against Forest. Liverpool 40 and 44 in their two fixtures. Leeds with 38% against Southampton, which is quite interesting. Fulham 36 against Wolves. Tottenham 33 against Chelsea. And then Villa 31 against Everton. And then one of the Everton games, Everton v Villa, they're 33% for a clean sheet on. So, it's looking like Arsenal and Man City defences dominating this week in terms of the underlying stats, I reckon.
Yeah, it makes sense, right? Although I do feel like Arsenal might concede in both games. I don't know, just got a slight feeling, but it's a guesswork, isn't it?
I got a feeling it depends on Maddison's status, like you're saying, you got him in your team, so sorry about that, but it depends on Maddison's status, because I think with him in the team, Leicester are good going forward, and without him in the team, it'll be a big miss, so I think it all depends on whether he plays.
Did you watch the United Leicester game? I sort of watched parts of it, and people said how Leicester didn't score was a bit of a sort of a mini miracle, really. Is that right? Or?
Yeah, completely. Yeah, absolutely. But I do think, for my personal opinion, Maddison was at the centre of all of it. Obviously, he's got I can't remember the other winger's name, but Barnes and the Brazilian lad that play on the right wing for Leicester both look really dangerous. But Maddison was the one that was bringing them in both into the game. So again, I think, I don't want to sound too negative on Leicester, but without Maddison, I think they're a different prospect.
Yeah, he pulls their strings there, doesn't he? That's what I picked up when I was and statistically that's the case as well. If you look at his kind of last year, he's been really solid in terms of goals and assists. So, yeah. Brisky's asking in the chat, Tom, who would you pick, Zinchenko or Trent Alexander-Arnold? I know Ben's just answered that.
It depends if it's he might be asking from an FPL perspective, because I know he's a viewer of the FPL streams. But if it was FPL, I'd say Trent, because he's got better attacking upside in my opinion. But in Sky, I'd go Zinchenko 100%, because he's good for, probably tackles as well, but definitely passing bonus. And he's the most advanced of all the Arsenal defenders too, so he's just got everything.
I think, I'd be kind of similar. Maybe just weighing towards Zinchenko and all of them, just because of how poor Liverpool have been defensively. I think mine would just shade Zinchenko, but I think it's fairly close.
Okay, I think I've got something interesting to show people. If you were scrounging around looking for a captaincy tonight, given that Marcus Rashford looks to be injured, he might only be out for the cup final this weekend, though, if even that. But because of the Carabao Cup final, Man United obviously don't play this game week. And in that time, Wolverhampton have 3 fixtures before Man United then play Wolves. So I think you could arguably do a sideways move, Rashford to Neves. And Neves has been amongst the passing in tackle bonus recently. And if you were to captain Neves, say, today, it's actually 4 for 0 if you count it a captaincy as two fixtures. So yeah, Man United to Wolves is a 4 for 0 at the moment. So if you're scrounging around for a captaincy, you can count that in the 4, of course. Then that's a decent move to make. And I think for my picks, Neves is probably the strongest of the Wolves defenders. But Kilman, he's got amongst passing bonus here and there, and obviously the upside of the clean sheet points. Neves passing tackles, and obviously gets the odd goal and assist here and there. So yeah, Man United to Wolves looks like a decent shout.
I mean, if you think of what a transfer would be worth, and you think he is worth, he gets a 5-pointer tonight, and you double that to a 10, and then you pick up a couple of little 4 and 5-pointers until United play again, you could be looking at, I mean, realistically, 20, sort of 15 to 20 points, probably 20 points before you put Rashford back in. I think that's a really solid move, to be fair, Tom. It's just he hasn't got huge amount of there's no real explosive haul in there. I guess if he scores and gets bonus, it's a nice number, but it's not happening frequently, I guess.
Yeah, I think I can't remember if it was said on another pod, but I'm pretty sure like the average points per transfer in Sky is less than 10 at the moment. So if you're using one to take someone out and bring him back in for 20 points, probably worth it.
Definitely. I might do that move myself, Tom, bearing in mind that I've got no coverage as of now.
And yeah, I think you said it. Well, I spoke over you very rudely then, but yeah, Neves is on pen, isn't he? That's all right. It's my bad, mate.
Yeah, no, it's just because I've got the live chat up at the same time. I saw Ben had stuck it in, and it's a really valid point. And pens can crop up at any point and don't necessarily follow any statistical model when a penalty is given. So definitely. another bow to the armory, isn't it?
And speaking of players that I like the look of at the start of the stream, I put on 3 players there that I'm definitely eyeing up to either bring in shortly or have a debate about whether they're worth bringing in. Firstly being Zinchenko. I think in Sky he looks a great asset. Plays a lot of fixtures coming up. It's a good captaincy shout, I think, for that Monday, even though obviously people will probably be going Saka and Salah. But yeah, I really like the look of Zinchenko. Have you got him in your Sky team at the moment?
No, and I've heard Ben go on about him quite a bit in one of our chats. It's like just listening, and then sort of has really come to the front of my mind. He's probably a very, very good pick. Um, so no, currently don't own, but would I own? Definitely.
And I think I'm struggling at the moment with 2 Man City defenders. I've got Ake and Akanji rotting out my team. And I think, to be honest, just to save me the pain, I'm just going to do a sideways swap and bring in Zinchenko and just be done with it.
Yeah, I think that's a good move. Just because Arsenal have been solid all season. They're obviously, there's always going to be little blips and stuff, but I think they're gonna be there or thereabouts. So I like that, Tom.
And what do you make of Enzo Fernandez as well at Chelsea? He's come in and always hit double bonus or got an assist in every game he's played so far.
Well, I mentioned it earlier, didn't I, for the captaincy for the Chelsea Tottenham game. I think I think most people obviously have Kane, but if you don't and you've got like an Enzo Fernandez, I think he's perfectly viable option for the captaincy for that reason. He's picking up bonus. He's like, he's another Rodri, isn't he? By the looks of it, I like him. He's on the radar. What's his price? Oh, he's very cheap, 7.7.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Luke Notley brought him in straight away, didn't he? And has been reaping the rewards. Yeah, FPL Spartan said he's going to bring Enzo in for one of his Wolves defenders.
Yeah, just getting some news in.
Sorry, one of his Wolves players.
Just getting some news in the chat, like you're saying. David Baxter as well. Welcome, David, and thanks for that. Makes my decision a bit more annoying given that, Stones and Laporte both being out. I think you're right, Akanji and Ake are going to play, so, yeah.
Tom, do you just want to go over that Rashford point again? Because Ben Vlogs asks, is Rashford out? And I know that they're blank, but I don't know if you've heard anything on there.
No,
on him.
And Ben, this isn't for this stream's for Sky rather than FPL. The FPL stream will be in a couple hours' time. But for Rashford, we don't know yet. He's not had his scan or any medical check-in yet to see if he's fit. Obviously, we've got a blank this week, so it doesn't really matter. And game week 26 is a week away, so I think he'll be okay to come back for 26. But we don't know. Quite simply,
I think he'll be playing.
No
mate.
one knows. I think he'll be playing. Just annoyingly the Laporte and Stones. I think Ake plays, but it's just as a Kanji play. Oh, so annoying having him. I don't know why I bothered.
I think all this stuff on this chat just shows how up in the air the Man City defense is. You talked about it a few weeks ago with no solidarity. 3 or 4 people jump in and say, "Oh no, I've heard this. I've had a Kanji, mate, and he's just rotted out with like 1-pointers because he's come on as a sub or whatever. It's just, I think it's Edison or no one at the moment, really, defensively. And even then, they're conceding goals, mate. So, yeah, exactly. You just laughed at Edison because it's 1 and 2
crap,
pointers.
yeah. Absolute crap. So annoying.
Oh, we got welcome back, Dave Perrins.
Yeah, good to see you, Dave. Hope all's well, mate. He said he'll catch us he'll probably catch that in about 20 minutes time when it plays it back to him. But yeah, welcome, David. It's lovely to have you.
Yeah, good to see you, Dave. I'm not sure about beautiful faces. Well, on my side anyway. Tom maybe more so.
I won't say anything on that.
Next week we see the lineup for City, so tempting to hold, or take out any City players. Wednesday for Arsenal assets from David Baxter. So yeah, fair point.
We've got total points per million per game. So what I've done is I've picked all the players that have played, I think 3 out of the last 4 games over the last few game weeks, and just to see who the top points per million per game players are. Really, nothing too fancy. I do this sometimes on the stream just to be a bit interesting. We got Marcus Rashford top of the list. I don't think that's any real surprise. I think in absolutely all of the fantasy football games, he's ridiculously reasonably priced, and he's just been smashing it. So yeah, no surprise to see him top there. And just thinking, actually, we've got a couple of Brentford single game days coming up, and David Raya is second on that list. He's looking like a really decent keeper in fantasy. It's going to be tough between him and Tony, I would suggest.
I think that's where I'm going to go, mate.
Yeah, I don't mind it at all.
For those singles. I've been saying it a few weeks. Brentford have been going so well under the radar. Nobody, well, we have talked about them, but I don't think they've had a massive hype train behind them. I think there's some half decent assets for all fantasy teams, really. Obviously, Sky, there's nuances that are different to Fan Team and FPL, but I think there's someone in, Tony and Raya for Sky are both, and Mbeumo even, and, probably another couple of midfield options are decent options for Brentford, and they've just looked really resolute.
Any other players there that scream at you that's interesting? I think Purvis Estupinan from Brighton's quite interesting at 6.6.
Yeah, he's nicely priced, mate, isn't he?
And your man Tim Ream's up there as well.
Mate, Tim Ream, he is. I think, for next season's kind of pods, mate, I'm gonna have to have a Tim Ream shirt up and behind, like Andy at Lift the Bar does. Lift the Bar. Andy at Let's Talk FPL does with legendary players, because Tim Ream, so not in Sky, but for my fan team, has just been hauling me out with like clean sheets right, left, and centre. Yeah, I don't think there's anyone else on there. Tom, let me just have a quick look. I'm really testing my eyes. We've obviously talked about Fernandez already. Craig Dawson's on there.
Yeah, I don't mind him. He's obviously got a bit of goal threat as well. So like, could you imagine like the good feeling you'd get if Craig Dawson scores tonight and you got him as your captain in Sky? But yeah, I wouldn't. I'd advise against it myself. But yeah, it's possible.
Yeah, I think that's yeah. Ben's just said Joe Gomez with a sick. Yeah,
rotter.
We won't be going there, Ben. We won't be going there. Yeah, and I think Tony on the 7 or 8 yellow cards. I think that's why, Ben, I would go Raya. That was going to be my point. Both of those pretty much. The yellow cards pending, and the ban of some description as well. It's kind of, you bring him in and then it's just like, how long is it going to be before he's basically unusable? Whereas Raya is just a nice solid pick, and I really like with the goalkeepers, Tom, on Sky, that you get like the 7 points for the clean sheet and then the 2 points for for playing. It's just such a nice captaincy haul, isn't it, to get a cleano without any saves at all with an 18-pointer. So that really tempts me.
The only thing I would say, and it's probably wrong to think about the past when I say this, but I think it was last season I brought in Jose Sarr and Dubravka for 2 captaincies, and they both conceded very late on in their games. One of them they conceded because of it might have been Jordan Pickford and Dubravka, I can't remember. One of them conceded because of the Just Stop Oil protester zip tying himself to the goalpost and the game going on forever. And I'm pretty sure Newcastle or Wolves conceded in the last minute in one of their games as well. So yeah, just owning I think it's the right way to play it, but owning a defensive player in a single game day is just painful.
It is if they haven't got anything else to back it up in regards saves or bonus, definitely, because you can be on the brink of an 18-pointer to a four-pointer.
Absolutely.
I think I was with you last year, Tom, on both of those exact things, because it brings back painful memories. So you weren't alone for those horrendous goals and point loss.
And yeah, this is just a quick one, just to show goalkeepers and defenders that are the most popular in the top 1K at the moment. So the average, the average guy in the person in the top 1K has got 1.4 Arsenal defenders, 1.1 Newcastle defenders, 70% have got a City defender, 35% have got a United defender, and 30% have got a Chelsea defender. So just looking at those stats, mate, it suggests to me that pretty much everyone in the top 1K is playing 3 at the back at the moment, and are quite even across their defences.
Yeah, I think we would have guessed that would have been the formation, right? Because there's so much attacking talent to have in the team at the moment. I think at the start of the year, everyone was just thinking it's going to be another year of 5 at the back and big at the back and all this sort of stuff. It just shows how quickly fantasy can change.
Especially Sky with like the bonus points for defenders and stuff. It's been one of the few seasons where going big at the back doesn't actually come off for you. Well, that doesn't seem to be paying off anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
And then one of the final screens we got is just comparing. Thank you, Dan, for doing this quick one. I've nicked your tweet. I hope that's all right, mate. He's just compared this week's to last week's in terms of average transfers. And I think looking on the whole, they seem to have gone down a little bit. So people have been using transfers, not necessarily moving ranks, if that's what that means. But basically, some transfers have been used in the week, but not too many. And from my perspective, on 26 and 3,000, nowhere near going to win the game like the likes of David Baxter, Paul McNulty and Fergie are in the contention to do. But I'm happy I can climb some places. And hopefully, if you're watching this on YouTube, you're looking the same.
Yeah, I'm 24 or 25. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm like you, Tom. My rank is absolutely dire in Sky. But I think, as we talked about last week's realistic target, sort of get inside the top 1,000 by the end of the year, just wipe it away and forget. But more interested, like you just said, in some of our listeners and other creators following their season and see how they finish up.
And then finally, before we get into some Twitter questions, we've got the Golden Goal Mini League. So top of that, the most important part and the most prestigious prize in all of fantasy football as well. And top of the list is the man that's in the chat himself, David Baxter, 2,131 points. I'm just going to have a gander to see where he is overall.
I would say, David, start thinking about your sort of biscuit selection, but we don't want to get too carried away too early because a prize like that is so big. I wouldn't want you to start thinking about it too quickly, but I think custard creams would be on my list, Tom.
Absolutely. And he's 15th overall as David as well, which is very, very good. What? So, yeah, unbelievable,
mate. Or is he 15th?
15th.
Wow. And where's Paul? 6th or something?
6th, yeah. I'm pretty sure Craig Pick is a name that I recognise as well in 2nd. Other chaps, I don't really know, to be honest, other than that. But there are a few names that I recognise already that are in the top 10, which is just insane. So that probably rules me out from ever winning it, but it's just be interesting to see who comes out on top.
Yeah. David Baxter said custard cream's definitely up there. Yeah, I agree. That's such a good biscuit.
The Fox's half-coated chocolate cookies are ridiculous as well. They're quite pricey. He says £1 on club card. I think you only get 6 of them in a pack though.
Yeah, Shane did win the World Cup game, David. Yeah. I think someone else. I think Ben was saying that in the 3 for 1 podcast, they said someone else had won it. Not that it matters really, because I think Shane's now got his prize, so Shane will be pretty happy that he's had the cash. Ben, I'll try those Fox's half-coated chocolate cookies. I think
they are serious. To be fair, the only reason I don't put them on the level with custard creams is they are pricey. Like they're £1 for like 6. So, but
yeah, and you go through all 6 in about 5 minutes.
Exactly. Right, should we have a look at some Twitter questions?
Yeah, go for it, mate.
I'll just pull up Twitter. You have to bear with while I do that a second.
Thank you. Biscuit suggestions are just going to start pouring in now, Tom. We've started it, haven't we?
I was just going to say thank you everyone for tuning in. If you could please leave a like on the stream if you're enjoying it, and subscribe yourself to the Golden Goal channel if you're not already. That'd be wonderful. Bear with. I've got 2 Twitter accounts. Got to swap between them and then find the old tweet. Bear with just a second. Spartans are saying chocolate hobnobs, like it.
For me, they are right up there. Top 3 probably in my book.
They're a special occasion biscuit for me. Only really come around at Christmas because they're too good.
They are, yeah. You don't want to make them your everyday biscuit. You get too used to the quality, Tom.
First question came from Dave Perrins, actually. He says he said Rashford, keep or sell, and what is the best plan for City assets, specifically Ake, Rodri and Haaland, and White as a third Arsenal defender to add to a block for Polinia. What do we think? Rashford, what are your thoughts on Rashford, mate?
I think what you said earlier was bang on. I think if you've not got a capo for tonight, like a little swap to like a Neves or someone similar from Wolves, and then see what happens in regards Rashford's injury update, and then switch him back. If not, depends on your transfers, doesn't it? I mean, we all know we're going to be wanting him back in, so he's inevitably going to be he's inevitably going to be a transfer back in if you take him out. So I think if you're pretty well set, you just leave him in. If you need a captain, like you just said, for tonight, and you want to gain sort of, by the looks of it, roughly about 20 points. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all.
And yeah, we spoke about well, David kindly commented saying that looks like Laporte and Stones. Bloody hell, my light just fell off. Laporte and Stones are injured, so that opens probably up a starting spot for Ake. So I would keep Ake personally. I think I will be.
Yeah.
Rodri, I think, is a solid keep as well. I'm just going to leave him.
So good, mate. He got another 7-pointer, didn't he, at the weekend or whatever it was.
And Haaland, likewise. I mean, I think Haaland's the outstanding captain on Saturday, really.
For going for Dave, I think just the two City picks at the moment are Rodri and Haaland. I'm not really interested in anyone. I think if you've got De Bruyne, I think me and Ben were chatting about it earlier. If you've got De Bruyne, there's a case in point to keep hold of him, especially after a good performance against Arsenal.
I think he's unwell at the moment, isn't he?
Yes, he is. But he was on the bench, wasn't he, in the Champions League?
Okay.
Yeah, he just didn't play. I think that's right. Anyway, I did see him on the bench. Yeah, I definitely checked. But yeah, in terms of City, I certainly wouldn't be bringing in any defenders nor Edison. And I'd just be holding Rodri and Haaland. That's my plan, Tom.
Got some other questions. So FPL Commander, he's asking specifically about Akanji. Should he sell for... Sorry, what's that? Should he hold? Hold till when and who for if he's already got Saliba and Zinchenko in the back three already? Personally, I like Badiashile if you like a defender. Otherwise, you could... Well, yeah, I like Badiashile. I think Badiashile's brilliant, to be honest.
Yeah. Now with that injury news, it's like, is it worth waiting just seeing what happens if you've got him? You get caught in the trap, the Manchester City trap. If not, yeah, there's plenty of options. I think, good options that you could replace him with there. Badiashile, yeah, like looks nailed on 5-pointer, doesn't he, Tom?
Yeah, and fair. Ben's he's just mentioned Enzo Fernandez, which has reminded me as well. If you can do it, Akanji to Enzo Fernandez doesn't look too bad at all either.
I think he's showing early signs, Tom, that he can do what Rodri does, but we need a bit more data on him, don't we? Rodri pops up with a goal quite often as well. He hit the bar against bar of the post, didn't he? Against, I can't remember their last game or the game. I don't know, one of the previous games.
He gets amongst it, mate, for sure. Absolutely.
So, yeah, I think Rodri does just take it at the moment over Enzo. But yeah, the price point is nice, and also, it's a small data set on Enzo. But Ben's bang on. Like, if Enzo carries on like that, then Enzo's going to be that midfield enabler for a lot of people moving forward.
And then Ben actually asked a question on Twitter as well. He's asking any tips as to what to do with Maddison. First thought that comes to my mind is Bukayo Saka and captain him on the Monday but the Monday fixtures. I really like Maddison to Saka if you can do it.
In my case, I think I've already got Saka, so I think it's just going to be a wait and see what the extent of the Maddison injury is before I decide on any future moves.
Fair enough. Spartans asks best captain for next Wednesday. I don't actually have the fixtures there in front of me for next Wednesday, so I'm just going to have a look. The games are Wednesday, sorry. So Arsenal, Everton, Liverpool, Wolves. For some reason I thought they were on Monday, but they're actually on Wednesday. I think for me, on the day, I'll probably be going Mo Salah, just because I've backed him in FPL and Fan Team, and I'm not saying I'm trying to stay consistent, but there's a reason I've done that, and I just believe Salah's got more routes to points and looks in better form at the moment, and I think Everton will give Arsenal a better game than Wolves will give Liverpool.
Yeah, it's really, really tricky. It's either Saka or Salah, isn't it, or Nunes, as Ben pointed out earlier. I don't think there's a nailed on one there. There's pros and cons to all of them. Have you gone just slightly off topic, Tom? Have you gone Salah captain in other formats then?
Yeah, so far he tops all the goal scoring odds and expected points, blah blah blah. So I think I'm going to go for him.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, it's going to be a good week, I think.
And Spartans asks also, would you give Sam your last custard cream? For me, I probably would because custard creams are so cheap that I could just end up with an endless supply, to be honest.
Yeah, and the thing is, Spartans, if he's eating like the whole pack, how many are in a pack already?
I see. I'm not that much of an expert where I know how many are in a pack.
But it's quite a good amount, isn't
It's a
it?
decent amount, yeah.
So Tom would probably be pretty full and actually probably wanting to offload that
Yeah,
final one.
I'll give you it, mate. Don't worry. Luke Notley, good mate Luke asks us, he's binned off Akanji last Sunday, wants to bin off Ake. Should he do it for Virgil van Dijk? Yeah, just can't be bothered with the stress of the City rotation. Mate, I'm completely with you on the City rotation. Unfortunately, with the Stones and Laporte news, I think it almost, like David was saying, almost makes sense to keep someone like Ake, expecting him to play. And Luke was also talking about Van Dijk. I think, did we talk about Van Dijk when we looked at the... We might have talked
Yeah,
about him very briefly.
yeah, it was brief.
I'm just not sure. I think Van Dijk's okay in Sky, to be honest. I'm just not sure that he's the best of that price, if that makes sense. But I don't think he'll do you
I
too
think
badly.
I think when people are talking about Van Dijk, what they're talking about is the Van Dijk that we know, and it just hasn't quite come back yet. And same with Trent, same with a lot of the Liverpool players. You're you're going to be picking them on the hope that they sort of return back to a little bit of better form. But you've got to put yourself in that position to be lucky, and so bringing them in puts you in that best stead. But I'm not massively convinced on Van Dijk at the moment. Whereas last year, the year before, was an absolute no brainer, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Dave's simple goal, I think he's repeated the question that he asked before. Would you do White or Nketiah in for Polinia? That's an extra question he asked. Who do you prefer out of White and Nketiah?
In Sky and Nketiah.
I like Nketiah, but I just think you'll be getting rid of him soon for Jesus. So I think White's longer term, but if you're looking to maximise your points over the next couple of weeks, I'd go Nketiah.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, mate. I totally agree. I would, yeah, Nketiah is not a long term hold.
And then he's asked a bonus question, says he's doing physical labour this afternoon, and what is each of our choices of music to keep him going?
I'm gonna go 90s and 2000 hip hop, rap, yeah, that sort of mix.
Fair enough.
That's what I that's what I stick on when I have like a bit of a lifting session.
Fair enough. I like a bit of house music and drum and bass, so when doing
Nice.
activities like that, I crank up the
I tell you what,
crank up
Tom,
the
a
bass.
combo of those two actually would go down really well, even in a bit of a mega mix.
Yeah, yeah. Is that going to be my next side hustle beyond podcasting? Is doing DJing as
Mega
well,
mixes.
mega
Yeah.
mixes and DJing. Michael Harlan, final question I've seen on Twitter. He says Mahrez to Badiashile on Sunday to enable him to go from KDB to Salah next Wednesday.
Nice.
What do you think?
Makes sense to me.
I don't think it's too bad at all.
'Cause he'll probably stick the armband on Salah, I'd imagine, on the Wednesday, so we
It,
get the captaincy out of that.
yeah, definitely. If you don't have a strong captain next Wednesday, Michael, I think the move sort of makes itself. But if you do, if you already have Saka, I think it makes things a bit more difficult. But I don't have the context, so I'd say yeah, I like the move.
Yeah.
Cool. I think that's it for Twitter questions. I didn't have anything else to go through either, so I think we can end it there, mate. Unless there's anything else you want to talk about.
No, I think we've covered all the burning points, haven't we? I'm ready for a kickstart tonight, folks. Don't forget, set your caps.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, if you enjoyed what you saw either live or watching back, leave us a like rating, subscribe to the Golden Goal channel, and we'll be back again next week with another Sky Game Week 31. It'll be preview. So yeah, see you in the next video.
Yeah, cheers, folks. Thanks for listening, guys. Speak to you all soon. Cheers, Ben.